factor group and the state, and the Asian students scored higher than the DFG. This slide represents a 3-year trend for the proficiency percentage for the district subgroups in math for 8th grade. This is a graphic representation of the 8th grade math proficiency percentages compared to the district factor group and the state scores. Please take note of the percentages for the African American, Hispanic, and economically disadvantaged students scored at or higher than the district factor group or the state percentages, and the Asian students scored higher than the comparable district factor group. This is a graphic representation of a 3-year trend for the Scantron math scores for the fall of each year. Again, the grade of the right indicates the grade in which the student first took the math assessment. For example, the blue bar represents the scale score for the students in grade 2 and 09, grade 3 in 2010, and grade 4 in 2011. The fourth group of bars represents the national percentile for each grade level. And as indicated, there is a growth in the earlier grades and a steady level off as the students move up in grade levels. This graph represents the high school AYP trends in math from 2006 through 2011. Math scores fluctuated with gains in the last year between 2010 and 2011. And all subgroups except for Hispanic were stayed even. These are our Algebra 1 scores. The graph represents a comparison between 2010 and 2011. Scores indicate a rise in all subgroups except the Asian subgroup, which dipped slightly. There are no benchmark cut scores for science that have been set by the state. However, this is a 3-year trend chart indicating that students' scores dropped about 5 points in 4th and 8th grade and dropped 1.5 points in high school. However, the high school scores are low. This is a graphic representation of the 4th grade science proficiency percentages compared to the district factor group and the state's percentages. The district's African American, Hispanic, and economically disadvantaged students scored higher than the state's comparable groups, and the Asian subgroup scored higher than the DFG. This slide represents a 3-year trend for the proficiency percentage for the district subgroups in science. This is a comparison among our school's proficiency percentages in 4th grade science for total, special education, limited English proficient, and economically disadvantaged subgroups, and the district factor groups and the state proficiency percentages. Franklin, Burling, and Carson scores are generally lower than the DFG and the state. However, Delaire, Fine, Longfellow, and Roosevelt scores are equal to or higher than the district factor group and the state. This graph represents the school's ethnic subgroups compared to the district factor groups and the state scores in science, 4th grade. Although the scores are lower in most cases, the trends for the subgroups are consistent with the DFG and the state, except for Delaire, Longfellow, and most of Roosevelt's subgroups, which are higher than the DFG and the state. This is a graphic representation of the 8th grade science proficiency percentages compared to the district factor group and the state's percentages. Please note the percentages of African American students are higher than the state and the DFG. This slide represents a 3-year trend for the proficiency percentage for the district subgroups in science for 8th grade. This graph represents the high school biology competency test compared to the district factor group and the state's percentages. In all subgroups, our scores are lower than the DFG and the state. three-year trend chart of the high school SAT scores. As indicated, there's a decrease in the scores in all areas, with the smallest decrease in math. This chart represents and identifies the enrollment in advanced placement courses, the number of students who took a corresponding AP test, and at the bottom, the number of students who scored 3 or higher on the test. From the senior survey, these are the percentages of students who plan to go to college or attend technical or other schools, find employment, or join the military. And the graduation rate from last year's senior class is 88.98%. This chart represents our instructional programs in the elementary level in reading, math, language arts proficiency, and special education. In preschool, successful O is used for reading and math. In kindergarten through 4th grade, Readers and Writers Workshop is the mainstay of the language arts department, whereas Envisions is utilized in math. The LEP program uses the high intensity program, which is push in and pull out model, along with moving into English, and Zip Zoom, a computer program in kindergarten through 4th. The elementary buildings have various special education programs set in their individual schools, and these include inclusion, self-contained, mild to moderate cognitively disabled, multiple disabled, behaviorally disabled, learning language mild to moderate, learning language severe. The programs that are utilized by the special ed programs are Rhymes and Times and the Fontes and Pinel level intervention system. At the Park Avenue campus, the language arts program utilizes Scott Forsman and Holt with an incorporation of Readers and Writers Workshop. Envisions continues in 5th grade and then switches to connected math in 6th through 8th. The 5th through 8th grade, in 5th through 8th grades, the LEP program is a scheduled pull-out program incorporating various aspects of the general education program. And special education incorporates Wilson Reading and Read 180 at the middle school. For both the intermediate and middle schools, the special education programs include learning language mild to moderate, learning language severe, self-contained, behaviorally disabled students, multiple disabled students, and inclusion. At the bottom of the chart, the elementary science program through 5th grade utilizes the McGraw-Hill program, which is a lab program. That's through 6th grade. 6th through 8th grade, they use the whole thematic approach. At the high school level, this is the process or progress of the language arts literacy courses. 4 years of language arts are offered with non-college prep, college prep, gifted and talented, advanced placement sections are also provided. 4 years of ESL are provided, with levels ranging from beginner to advanced. There are 4 options or paths at the high school, Pennsauken High School for math: the integrated math program, the honors, traditional algebra geometry path, or the algebra geometry tech path. Students progress through each level and also have the opportunity to move between paths. Science also has an integrated and a traditional path. This flowchart demonstrates the 3 years of science and the 4th year option. 3 years of social studies are offered. This is a transition year. World history remains in 10th grade. We've incorporated U.S. History 1 into 11th and maintained U.S. government in 12th until next year, where we will make total transition to meet the new state standards, which would include U.S. History 1 in 11th grade and U.S. History 2 in 12th. We have non-college prep, college prep, and honors, and AP U.S. History and AP Government will remain. The New Jersey DOE requires 1 year of world language. With Pennsauken High School, we have offerings at various levels, from college prep through honors and AP in Spanish, French, and Latin. In the related arts area, Pennsauken High School offers a variety of business, fine and performing arts, and technical and career courses. Are we where we should be? No. However, do we have the students, staff, and leadership that can make a difference? Yes. As we move toward the future, we strive to have our students receive all they deserve. If they win, we win. They deserve excellence, and that is what we strive for.
Mr. Wazinski, thank you very much for sticking to our timeline. Great job. I just want to report that the instructional team, including administrative staff here, central office, and principals, assistant principals, together with our teaching staff, is really looking at our data to inform the decisions that we're making to improve the instructional program for our students. We're looking at it from the point of view of a pre-K to 12 continuum that scaffolds learning and builds learning blocks so that students are able to learn in ways that they can continue to apply through their years, beginning in elementary, middle, intermediate, middle, and in high school, with the end in mind that they are prepared to achieve at whatever they decide upon graduation. We believe that all of our students can reach their maximum potential. We want to be able to work with them in ways to improve student achievement.
That was an awful lot of material to cover. I would suggest to my fellow board members that we take the weekend, look over it.
Good stuff.
Well, it might take longer than a weekend. But,
Yeah.
and if you have any questions, come back on Monday, or we can come back and anybody has questions on Monday, or anybody has questions in January, we can do it.
And I'd be happy to meet with the board members in a committee or so to really go through the meaning of this data as it reflects and how it impacts our instructional program. What we want to do is to really solidify a lens for a pre-K to 12 continuum, that we are maximizing their learning beginning from the moment they enter our school. And when they graduate, we know that we have successful graduates from Pennsauken. Not just the athletes, but all of our students. And we want to be recognized for high achievement and performance in everything that we do. So I encourage you to read the material. And if you need any further explanation, I'm more than happy to meet with you.
Mr. President, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I have several, but I'll say that it's just an overarching one. As a parent looking at these graphs, that of course we're not where we want to be, but my concern is that there's a major shift to the Common Cores. The instructional rigor that is going to be required is beyond what we have even seen in the state. This correlates to the textbook selections we have, the programs we have, what we have used in the school district, and the reality of where we're going in the state very, very quickly. Even in regards to the testing, electronic testing, as Mr. Devitt said, but just in regards of instructional rigor and what these next Common Cores are going to look like, how they're going to be unwrapped for skill-based learning for our kids. And we are really looking at some shifts that this data is going to become, unless we do some things very quickly and very drastically, this data that we're looking at and these lines are sort of moving up and down are really going to shift. And my concern is that they will shift in a downward slope if we do not get ahead of the fast-moving train that is slamming into New Jersey, that I think in the long run will work very well for us as a state. But I am concerned as a state we're not prepared. I'm even more concerned as a district that we're absolutely not.